Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to Inner Guide Q&A program, where we find the answers for our life's problems through the great teachings of our great teacher, Supreme Buddha. So one of our viewers have asked a question from us that how to stop the bad habits. How to stop the bad habits. So today from this Inner Guide program, we are going to learn and find how to stop a bad habit in our life. Before learning how to stop a bad habit, first of all, we have to learn and find what is a habit and how a habit is formed in our life. Normally, habit is something that we do again and again throughout a long time, and after doing it through a long time, it will become automatic, right? After it becomes automatic, it does not require any effort to do, right? There are so many habits in our life, either good or bad. There are so many habits, right? So for an example, let's take early in the morning, you all get up and you go to your washroom and you take your toothbrush and put some toothpaste on it and you brush your teeth. Now, brushing your teeth is a habit. No one gets up in the morning and think, oh, I should brush my teeth today also. No one become sad or depressed of brushing teeth, right? Why is that? Because it has become a habit. Because from the little age, from the age that we were as babies, right, we brushed our teeth daily. And with the time, it became a habit. It became something that happens automatically. Normally, we get up early in the morning and we just go to the washroom and we brush our teeth. It does not require any effort, right? So, that is how a habit is formed. We do it for a long time and it becomes something that is very easy and well known, and it does not require any effort. So, there are good habits in our life as well as the evil habits. Now, our focus and our main target should be to reduce these evil habits. So what are the evil habits that we have? Normally, the main evil habit that we have is we become angry with people all the time, don't we? We become angry. We get angry with people who are in our families, who are in our workplace, right? Why that happened? Did you think why is that happening? Because we have practiced this anger for a long time and it has become a habit. Now, do you need any effort to be angry with anyone? Do you want to take any effort to be angry with any person? No, you don't. Why? It has become a habit, right? And there is another bad habit. It is the feeling jealousy of others. It does not require any energy. You don't want to think about it. It comes to your mind automatically. And the craving and the lust. When we talk about that, normally we have the habit of craving the things. And the lust has become a habit to our life. So, that means we have practiced these evil thoughts throughout a long time and it has become a habit. And that is how the evil habits are formed in our life. So how to break these habits? Well, there is only one way to do that. And that one way is to replace that evil habit from a good habit. Okay? That is the only way you can do that. Stop a bad habit. Instead of practicing that evil habit, in that time, you can practice another good habit. Suppose you get angry with a person, right? You are a person who gets angry all the time. You are a person who loses your temper all the time. So what you have to do, you have to understand about your habit. You have to understand about your situation, right? Now you have to think, I get angry all the time, right? The first step is to understand about your situation. Number 2, you have to think that this evil habit, this bad habit is not good for my life. It will never make any good for my peacefulness or my spirituality. The more you think about that, right, the more you think about the disadvantages of your evil habit, your mind always try to reject those thoughts. Because you are thinking about the disadvantages of those evil thoughts, right? Normally when we see some disadvantages of a special thing or a person or whatever it is, normally we don't like to be with that, right? If you are going to the supermarket and when you're going to buy something, if you come across and if you see some disadvantages of buying that special thing, do you buy that? No, you don't, right? Same as that, you have to think about the disadvantages of your evil habits. That is the second step. And then as the third step, you can bring out a good habit to practice instead of that evil habit. Suppose you get angry with people all the time, okay? So what you have to do, instead of blaming others, right? Instead of blaming for the little mistakes of others, what you have to do, you have to practice to be silent, and you have to practice to spread love and kindness to them. And also you have to train your mind to forgive them, right? Sometimes we may get angry for little things, right? The fights and the troubles that they are going on in the family life or in the workplaces are for very little things we are fighting. Remember, if we cannot forgive the people around us, we will never live peacefully, right? If you don't have the habit of forgiving, you cannot live peacefully, because we cannot expect the people around us to always to do good things and the things that we like, right? They may do weird things, but if we cannot forgive and forget, right, you will always see the mistakes and the wrong things and the troubles that has done by the people around you. The more you see it, the more you will become distracted in your mind. So instead of developing that evil thought, you can develop a wholesome thought. It's like this. Now, there are two sides of our mind. That is the evil side and the wholesome side. Okay? Think these two sides as two animals. Okay? So one animal is very dangerous, right? And the other animal is very calm and quiet and serene. And it is very useful. So if you keep on feeding one animal, suppose you fed the dangerous animal, the more you feed that animal, the more that animal will be strong. And that animal, with the time, that animal will control the wholesome animal. Right? The problem with us is we are feeding this dangerous animal. Right? Instead of feeding the dangerous or evil side of our mind, what you have to do is just feed the wholesome animal. Right? If you feed the wholesome side of your mind, what will happen? It will start to develop. Right? When it starts to develop, it can overcome, it can control the dangerous or evil thoughts of your mind without letting that evil thoughts to appear inside your mind. So what you have to do, just feed, always do and say the things and think the thoughts that feeds the wholesome side of your mind. Then with the time, that habit, that evil habit will be broken, and you will find that you always have a good habit instead of evil thoughts and evil habits. And that is how you break the evil habits in your life. So stop feeding the evil thoughts in your mind. Instead, feed the wholesome thoughts and make your life a peaceful one. A quick question. Are you having sleepless nights because of these heavy loads of thoughts that are coming and looping inside your mind? Or are you someone who is imagining the worst case scenarios all the time whenever you're going to do something new? Or are you someone who is worrying about what other people will think of me? Well, if you are such a person, you might be overthinking. So let's find out a way that where we can get out of our head and quit overthinking and get the works done. So what we can do for this? Well, the first and the foremost thing that you have to do is to realize that overthinking is not going to help you in the process, right? You can plan, you can analyze, but do not overdo it. If you are over planning, if you are over analyzing, it's not going to help you, right? It will distract you from the process. The first thing that you have to realize is that overthinking is not going to help you. The second thing, you can practice to be mindful. Now, this is a practice that you can do to stop overthinking, to be mindful, to practice the mindfulness. So how can we practice the mindfulness? So there are many ways that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us to be mindful. One of them is to be mindful about the breathing pattern, which we call anapanasati. Right? When you become more mindful about this inhale and exhale, your mind instantly comes to the present moment. Right? Now you're only thinking about inhale and exhale. You're being mindful about that. Now, instantly, you reduced these thousands and thousands and looping thoughts to two thoughts. What are those two thoughts? Inhale and exhale. So when you're thinking like that, and when you become mindful, normally, automatically, you will find the peacefulness and you will stop overthinking about these things, right? So whenever you catch yourself overthinking, what you have to do, take 3 deep breaths in and out, right? And just stay for a while by being mindful about your breathing pattern. Or you can be mindful about your body, right? You can ask from yourself that, how am I sitting now, right? What am I doing now? And you ask these things from yourself, you can answer these things like, I'm sitting now. You can recognize. When you do these things, you can be mindful. If you're mindful, your mind is in the present moment. And when your mind is in the present moment, your mind is in the peacefulness. There's a saying, and it goes like this. If you're sad, then your mind is in the past. If you're anxious, your mind will be in the future. But if you are peaceful and if you are still, your mind is in the present moment. So start living in the present moment, right? When you live in the present moment, when you live right here, right now, you can be more peaceful and you can stop these overthinking patterns, right? And also, there's another part of overthinking. What is that? The what if question, right? So many people ask from them that, what if this happened? What if this not happens, right? What if everything that I did was wrong? They are constantly thinking about these things like that, right? They are imagining these worst case scenarios. So I must say something about them, right? So if you're thinking this what if question again and again, you can ask from yourself, what if everything that I did was okay? You can be positive. What if everything that I've planned and I've done was really great? So that can happen. There is always many possibilities for your plans to go okay. So don't be negative. Always think, I'm not going to be perfect, right? I cannot be perfect, but I can be the best version of myself. I can do my best. I must do my best. And be positive and go for it and take risks. Without taking risks, we cannot be successful in our lives. So practice these things, right? Be more mindful, right? Be more kind to yourself. And always think that if I overthink, if I constantly worry about myself, it will kill the peacefulness of my life. So I hope this video gave some light to your life. So be peaceful and be mindful and get out of your head and start doing the works that you haven't done. Why most of the students feel sleepy while they are studying? Now this has been a huge problem for all the students who are studying, including myself. I still can remember when I was at school, I used to fall asleep right after I get a book to my hand. Do you have the same experience? I think yes. Well, today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips you can practice to stay away from sleepiness while studying. So the same thing happened to a monk who lived in the Buddhist time. He was struggling with meditation, especially he was struggling with the sleepiness during meditation. So the Buddha gave him these 7 advices and 7 tips to practice to stay away from the sleepiness during the meditation. But these tips can be applied to our studies as well. So without any further ado, let's dive into these tips. Tip number 1, change the perception. Sometimes the reason for our sleepiness is not where we study or when we study, but what we study, right? Sometimes the meditation that we are doing, maybe the subject that we are studying is not vibing along with our mind. At that time, we feel boring and less interested. Once you feel boring, what is the normal reaction from your body? You feel sleepy, right? You feel that drowsiness within you. That is why the Buddha says, change the perception. Once you feel sleepy while studying or meditating, just change the perception. Change what you study for a little while. Let's say you're studying a subject and you feel boring, okay? You feel less interested. So what do you have to do? Change it to something that you feel interesting. Maybe a subject that you feel fun in studying. Maybe you enjoy that subject. Maybe it is your favorite subject. Maybe it is your favorite meditation, okay? Once you do that, what happens to you is you're doing something that is enjoyable and enthusiastic. You feel that enthusiasm within you. Then your body and your mind becomes active. Okay? Once your body and mind becomes active, what will happen? Your mind will open to new things. Okay? So when you spend a little while in that enthusiastic activity, maybe studying, maybe meditating, okay? Then you can come back to the same thing that you've studied earlier and keep on studying, because at that time we gave our mind a little jump start to be active. Tip number 2, memorize it. The Buddha says, recall what you have studied and memorize it and examine it with your mind. When you examine something with your mind, when you recall something from your mind and you wisely reflect on it, what happens? Your mind becomes active, okay? Because you need that focus and you need that activeness in your mind to memorize it. Once you memorize it, what will happen? You stay away from that inactiveness or inactive state of your mind. Then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. So, what you have to do, whenever you feel sleepy or drowsy, just memorize one thing that you have learned or recall something that you have learned. That is one thing that we can do. Tip number 3, reciting. Now, reciting is one of the best ways to stay away from sleepiness during meditation and studying. Okay? Now, when you recite something or when you say something out loud, it activates your jaw muscles and your mouth. And also, when you recite something, you create those vibrations in your skull and it activates your brain. Okay? Once your brain and your muscles are active, your jaw muscles are active, you feel some energy within your head. Okay? And then it will be very easy for you to study. And also, when you recite something, it gives that activeness to your body, and then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. That is tip number 3. Tip number 4, the Buddha says, pinch your ears and rub your limbs. Now, when you pinch your ears and rub your limbs, what happens is, your muscles get a good blood circulation and your body becomes active. Once your body becomes active, then your mind becomes active. Then you will be less sleepy and you can stay away from sleepiness by doing this. So this is something that very simple that you can do to stay away from sleepiness. Tip number 5, the Buddha says, get up from your seat and wash your eyes with cold water and look at the night sky. Especially if you're studying at night, maybe you're meditating at night, right? If you feel sleepy, you can go outside and look at that night sky. Enjoy the nature, enjoy that breeze. Okay? Once you stay in the nature for a little while, you feel so much refreshed. And then you can come back to studying and meditation and keep on doing it. So, nature can make our body so much refreshed. Keep that in your mind. Tip number 6, the Buddha says, focus on the perception of light. Now, most of the time, when we are studying at night, the reason for our sleepiness is the surrounding. Okay? Sometimes some people used to study in a dark room, maybe in the darkness, okay, while having a little light on them. Okay? The reason for our sleepiness can be the darkness around us, because when the darkness surrounds us, we feel like sleeping because it stimulates our sleepiness. Okay? Because we used to sleep in the darkness, and then when there is darkness around us, it triggers our sleepiness. So what the Buddha says is, just when you study, focus on something that is very bright. Okay? Focus your mind on something that is very bright and think that you are studying. Imagine that you are studying in the daytime. Okay? When you're studying, always try to study under a good light source. And also you can imagine to yourself that I am studying in the daytime. Okay? When you imagine it and when you have that perception of light in your mind, then you will feel less sleepy. Okay? So that is one thing that we can do to focus on the perception of light. And we have come to the final and the 7th tip, and that is, the Buddha says, do walking meditation. Whenever you are meditating, okay, or when you are studying, if you feel sleepy, if you feel drowsy, just get up from the seat and go and walk back and forth with mindfulness. Okay? Focus on your bodily postures and bodily movements and go walk back and forth for a little while. Okay? It will activate your body as well as it will activate your mind, because we need a good focus to be mindful. Okay? Once the mind becomes mindful, it activates our mind. So that is one way that we can stay away from sleepiness, to do the walking meditation. So, okay. So as students, you all can do these things. Let's say you tried all of these 7 tips and none of them worked for you. Okay. You still feel sleepy. Then what we can do? The Buddha says, if none of them worked for you, that means you really need a sleep. Okay. So that is why the Buddha says, then you can go to bed mindfully. Okay? Being mindful about the posture that you are going to sleep, and you have to remember to yourself that right at this time, okay, maybe after 1 hour, I'm going to wake up. Okay? When you do that, when you remember to yourself that the wake up time, then it is very easy for you to wake up. And also remember, most of the time, the students enjoy sleeping. okay, more than studying. Okay, it is all about our priorities. When we give the priority to study, we can easily study. When we give the priority in our mind to sleep more than studying, then you feel more and more sleepy. So that is why it is all about what you give priority to. Okay, so remember, so if none of those 7 tips worked for you, just have some rest and then go back to studies or meditating. So these are the things that we can apply to our daily life to stay away from sleepiness during studying and also during meditating. So apply these things and see what works for you. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. In today's video, we're going to be discussing and observing about how to stop comparing yourself with others. Coming right up. In this human society, there are so many kinds of people. They live in different social states, right? We have to deal with these people when we are living our life. So there's a problem which origins inside our mind when we live with these people and that problem is we compare our life with them, right? We compare our problems and our life and our social states with other people's lives. Remember, this comparison is not the problem. This comparison can be used in many ways. People use it in many ways, right? Some people, they use this comparison to motivate themselves, right? Now, when you see athletes and the people who are doing sports, when they see the players or athletes which have more capacity and more talents than them, then they try to compare themselves with others, and what they do is they develop themselves, they motivate themselves to do more, to practice more, right? So this comparison can be used in a good way. But many of us doesn't do that. What we do is we compare our life with others and we become frustrated with our life. Now this happens for many people who use social media. When they visit Facebook or Instagram, there are so many cases and there are so many problems that origins when you visit social media, because you see, when you visit those platforms, you see so many pictures of other people, how they live their life, how they eat, how they dress, how they go out in Sunday nights and Saturday nights. So you see such pictures. But currently, you may be not in a situation to enjoy your life. Sometimes you may be in a problem. So what you do is you compare that life with your life and you become frustrated. You become sad. You become depressed. That is why, from researchers, it has been proved that the people who visit and who are in social media for long times, they have a higher probability of having the social stress and depression and mental stress inside. Why? That is because of this frustration due to comparison. So that is the comparison that we need to stop, right? If you compare your life with someone and if you become motivated to be and develop more inside you, then it's a good one. So when you see the happy lives of others, right? If you compare, then you become frustrated. Remember, you cannot be someone else, right? We can only be ourselves. If you try to be someone else, that means you're wasting your life. You're wasting your valuable time that can be used to develop yourself. So the first thing that you have to know is that I cannot be someone else, I can be me. You can be the best version of yourself. That is what we need to do. So what we have to do is we need to battle with ourselves. We don't want to battle with others, right? We don't want to be competitive. We don't want to have races. We don't want to do that. What we have to do is we need to battle with our own weaknesses. We need to try hard to eliminate and destroy our own weaknesses, our own faults, our own bad habits. That is what makes our life develop. But if you compare with others' lives, and if you become frustrated, and if you do nothing, you're not developing anything, right? So it is like running a race. Now, you all have seen athletes running races, right? So athlete's job is to be the best person, the best athlete in his track, right? His job is to run as fast as he can in his track. But if he keep on staring on others' tracks, and if we keep thinking on what others do, he will not be successful. He will not become a successful athlete. So what he needs to do is to run as fast as he can by focusing on his own track, and then he will become a successful athlete. So life is also like that. You need to focus on your track. You need to focus on your life. How I'm going to develop my good qualities. How I'm going to develop my spirituality. How I'm going to develop my mental strength. If you focus on yourself, you see the weaknesses and strengths and opportunities that you have within yourself. Then you can have and you can develop these things inside you, right? But if you merely comparing on others and staring to others' life, and if you do nothing, you will be in the same place forever. So I will give you a good suggestion that was given by our great teacher Supreme Buddha to stop this comparison, right? That divine quality that Buddha explained that we should develop within ourselves is called mudita. What is that name? Mudita. Mudita means appreciative joyfulness. So the main aim in practicing this mind of mudita, the mind of appreciative joyfulness, is to eliminate the jealous or the envy that we build up inside by comparing our lives with others, right? Normally when we compare, we build up the jealous inside. Right? That is what makes our life frustrated. That is what makes our mind stressed and depressed. So what we need to do is to practice mudita or appreciative joyfulness. So how to practice it? Here's how to do it. It's a simple way. It's a simple and a practical way. You should apply these things to your practical world when you're living in your life, right? This is how to do it. Is when you see the good lives of other people, when you see the bright sides of people, what you need to do is you need to practice your mind to be happy by seeing them, to wish the well-being of their life, right? If you can be happy by seeing their good lives, if you can be happy by enjoying others' lives, you will never be frustrated, right? You have to be happy, and you have to say, and you have to wish the well-being of others from the deepest place in your heart. then you will build up an inner happiness, right? You are not comparing yourself with others. You become happy by seeing others' success. But still, you have the mind to develop your own qualities, to eliminate your own weaknesses, right? You can use that comparison in a good way. So that is how to practice the mudita. So here's a simple way and a practical way to do it. Whenever you get up early in the morning, before you get down from your bed, just sit on the bed, close your eyes, and for maybe 5 seconds, you can think, may all the beings in this world become successful. May they enjoy their life. May they be happy forever. Wish the well-being of others. If you wish it, you will not become frustrated, right? The best thing that you have to remember is you can be yourself only. You cannot be someone else. So try to develop your own good qualities and try to eliminate your own weaknesses. Battle with yourself, right? It is you versus you. You need to always give that and be the best version of yourself, right? If you do the best thing that you can be, you should do, and if you become the best person that you can become, then you don't want to worry about other things, right? You don't want to worry about the talents and the things that you did not have in your life, because that is because you became the best person of yourself. That is what you can do. So stop comparing yourself. Develop mudita, the appreciative joyfulness, and enjoy your life, enjoy your peacefulness by developing these good qualities. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, the nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you are thinking, if you are not mindful about what you are thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand and you have to totally be aware of what you are thinking. Okay? So whenever you become aware of what you are thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do? Think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness. Right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought. Right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention, right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step, to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, when you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So, what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts, these negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So, what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, when you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I am not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those 4 steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these 4 thoughts before doing the final one, okay? So practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it. Make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. A quick question. Are you having sleepless nights because of these heavy loads of thoughts that are coming and looping inside your mind? Or are you someone who is imagining the worst case scenarios all the time whenever you're going to do something new? Or are you someone who is worrying about what other people will think of me? Well, if you are such a person, you might be overthinking. So let's find out a way where we can get out of our head and quit overthinking and get the works done. So what we can do for this? Well, the first and the foremost thing that you have to do is to realize that overthinking is not going to help you in the process, right? You can plan, you can analyze, but do not overdo it. If you are over planning, if you are over analyzing, it's not going to help you, right? It will distract you from the process. The first thing that you have to realize is that overthinking is not going to help you. The second thing, you can practice to be mindful. Now, this is a practice that you can do to stop overthinking, to be mindful, to practice the mindfulness. So how can we practice the mindfulness? So there are many ways that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us to be mindful. One of them is to be mindful about the breathing pattern, which we call anapanasati, right? When you become more mindful about this inhale and exhale, your mind instantly comes to the present moment, right? Now you're only thinking about inhale and exhale. You're being mindful about that. Now, instantly, you reduced these thousands and thousands and looping thoughts to two thoughts. What are those two thoughts? Inhale and exhale. So when you're thinking like that, and when you become mindful, normally, automatically, you will find the peacefulness and you will stop overthinking about these things, right? So whenever you catch yourself overthinking, what you have to do, take 3 deep breaths in and out, right? And just stay for a while by being mindful about your breathing pattern. Or you can be mindful about your body, right? You can ask from yourself that, how am I sitting now, right? What am I doing now? And you ask these things from yourself, you can answer these things like, I'm sitting now. You can recognize. When you do these things, you can be mindful. If you're mindful, your mind is in the present moment. And when your mind is in the present moment, your mind is in the peacefulness. There's a saying, and it goes like this. If you're sad, then your mind is in the past. If you're anxious, your mind will be in the future. But if you are peaceful and if you are still, your mind is in the present moment. So start living in the present moment, right? When you live in the present moment, when you live right here, right now, you can be more peaceful and you can stop these overthinking patterns, right? And also, there's another part of overthinking. What is that? The what if question, right? So many people ask from them that, what if this happened? What if this not happens, right? What if everything that I did was wrong? They are constantly thinking about these things like that, right? They are imagining these worst case scenarios. So I must say something about them, right? So if you're thinking this what if question again and again, you can ask from yourself, what if everything that I did was okay? You can be positive. What if everything that I've planned and I've done was really great? So that can happen. There is always many possibilities for your plans to go okay. So don't be negative. Always think, I'm not going to be perfect, right? I cannot be perfect, but I can be the best version of myself. I can do my best. I must do my best. And be positive and go for it and take risks. Without taking risks, we cannot be successful in our lives. So practice these things, right? Be more mindful, right? Be more kind to yourself. And always think that if I overthink, if I constantly worry about myself, it will kill the peacefulness of my life. So I hope this video gave some light to your life. So be peaceful and be mindful and get out of your head and start doing the works that you haven't done. Namo Buddhaya, Therwan Saranai.